So today I'm going to be talking to you about the pros and cons of social media and um, what things can come good of it or what, are some things to beware of when using social media. And I'm going to be looking back and forth at my notes. So if I'm kind of looking off in the distance, don't just don't worry about it. So the first thing that kind of comes to mind when I think about social media is connectivity. So it kind of helps us connect to people that we aren't as close to physically in the college course, which we're all in right now. We're kind of away from our parents or away from our friends and families. So using social media to connect with one another is a good way that I have been able to cope with the distance. My mom and I used to use Instagram DMs to send each other videos back and forth throughout the days and throughout the weeks. It's been going on for a long time, and that's just another way that I can stay connected to her while I'm off away at college. Secondly, information sharing, so we can easily share news and updates on certain things very quickly. Like, I'm a big sports head, so I'm sending my friends who are other like fans of other sports teams, you know, like scores of the games and everything like that, or like I'm just looking at the information of the game, like highlights of the games and everything like that, and that's just the information being fed to me in such a way. But there's other ways or other forms of information, like news articles, or when the pandemic was going on, how everybody was kind of glued to their screens trying to find out what was going on or what was happening. Thirdly, so it really helps as um, like business, like small businesses. It really helps small businesses to network their businesses and create a larger platform for themselves so that they can make more money. For example, I don't know if many people have heard of this man, but Keith Lee, who's a famous food reviewer on TikTok, he has over like 5 million, 6 million subscribers or followers. Sorry, um, and he has, just created a living off of just going to local mom and pop shops, reviewing their food and rating it 1 through 10. And with that review, whether it be good or bad, people tend to try the food out a little bit more to see if the review is accurate or if they have a different opinion on it. And a lot of the times, the food is very good, and it just helps the businesses erupt. So, social media can also be like helpful for education and awareness. So, like I was saying about when COVID had happened, when it first had happened, we all didn't know what was going on. We didn't know how we were going to continue to live our life. And a lot of times we would get new breaking news from our social media. That's how I first found out that everything had gotten shut down, through social media. Excuse me. And it was just it was natural at that point, and it's become even more natural since we spent so much time in the house with only social media. And so lastly, like I said, so social media is a really big spot for people to promote their businesses and promote, you know, their services that they provide. A lot of times you see people who, kind of like have ads and stuff. They have a social media in their company uh, bio, which is the most efficient way to get people to see you nowadays. It's not by calling or emailing, texting, and anything like that. The most efficient way is through social media, because it's just the easiest. It's one, two, three, boom, you're there, and you get to see if you like the product. If you don't like the product, swipe off, and it's just entirely much easier. So moving on to the cons now. Um, the biggest thing that we see today is like privacy concerns. And growing up, I had kind of realized this a little bit more too. Like, sharing too much of your information online can cause for like really terrible things to happen to you, like somebody stealing your identity, or ruin your credit score, or fraud or anything like that. And it is a lot more common than most people think, which is obviously not good. Secondly, and this one, it was the something that was like kind of like drilled in us as we were younger, like teenagers and little kids going into social media, using social media, was cyberbullying. And it was drilled in us for a reason. I mean, it was a valid reason too, because in very extreme cases of cyberbullying, there have been instances of self-harm, and even like suicide, and like horrible self-esteem for themselves. And it just like things just like that get overlooked a lot of the times because we just don't really care anymore. And to counteract the point that I had made earlier in this video, spreading fake news or fake information is a really, really big part of social media nowadays. So as we like go on in life, we kind of see that some things in social media can be twisted and have been twisted to make a better perspective for something else, which is why I say a lot of the times we have to do research on various topics or um, various news things that are happening throughout the world, because we can't just believe one thing and immediately start to panic if that thing is saying like, oh, the world's gonna end in 2025 or 2026 or something like that. We have to actually like really do our research and really understand what is going on and why that may not be always true. We can't believe everything that's on the internet. And then addiction, it's really addicting. I can say that I have been a victim of the addiction of social media. At one point, I was spending 14 hours a day on my phone, and I shouldn't be doing anything for 14 hours a day except breathing. Like it was really bad for me. And granted, I wasn't an extreme case of it, but there are very extreme cases of it, and people without social media, or who try to go without social media for a certain amount of time, tend to have withdrawal from it, and then they start to have severe anxiety, depression, and things like that. And it's an issue that we all have. Not we all have, but that is prominent. And then lastly, the last thing we're going to touch on is the impact that it has on relationships. So, and not just like boyfriend, girlfriend, or husband and wife relationships. I mean relationships in all, as in, family, friends, and, relationships with just normal people throughout the day. If we're all glued to our phones and addicted to everything that's on our screen, then we won't be able to really enjoy life anymore. Like the things that we know now today, we grew up with, we're gonna pass us by. We're just kind of gonna reminisce and be like, oh, I kind of wish I did this one more time. Oh, I wish I would have, hugged her one last time before she passed. Or I wish I would have, seen this before, So there's just a lot of prominent things that have passed us by because we've been so addicted and to our phones. It kind of just impacts our relationship with a lot of things.